Music is a language. Both music and verbal languages serve the same purpose. They are both forms of expression. They can be used as a way to communicate with others. They can be read and written. They can make you laugh or cry, think or question, and can speak to one or many. And both can definitely make you move. In some instances, music works better than the spoken word because it doesn't have to be understood to be effective. Although many musicians agree that music is a language, it is rarely treated as such. Many of us treat it as something that can only be learned by following a strict regimen under the tutelage of a skilled teacher. This approach has been followed for hundreds of years with proven success, but it takes a long time. Too long. Think about the first language you learned as a child. More importantly, think about how you learned it. You were a baby when you first started speaking, and even though you spoke the language incorrectly, you were allowed to make mistakes, and the more mistakes you made, the more your parents smiled. Learning to speak was not something you were sent somewhere to do only a few times a week. And the majority of the people you spoke to were not beginners. They were already proficient speakers. Imagine your parents forcing you to only speak to other babies until you were good enough to speak to them. You'd probably be an adult before you could carry on a proper conversation. To use a musical term, as a baby, you were allowed to jam with professionals. If we approach music in the same natural way we approached our first language, we would learn to speak it in the same short time it took to speak our first language. Proof of this can be seen in almost any family where a child grows up with other musicians in the family. Here are a few keys to follow in learning or teaching music. In the beginning, embrace mistakes instead of correcting them. Like a child playing air guitar, there are no wrong notes. Allow young musicians to play and perform with accomplished musicians on a daily basis. Encourage young musicians to play more than they practice. The more they play, the more they will practice on their own. Music comes from the musician, not the instrument. And most importantly, remember that a language works best when we have something interesting to say. Many music teachers never find out what their students have to say. We only tell them what they are supposed to say. A child speaks a language for years before they even learn the alphabet. Too many rules at the onset will actually slow them down. In my eyes, the approach to music should be the same.
The music as a language. When I was a child, I just remember that just one day I was trying to go to the supermarket with my mom, and she was asking me to purchase something, and I was just a little bit crazy because I was trying to get video games. I love video games. However, she just take a look and she just told me like, Nicholas, I'm going to give you a guitar. And maybe not everyone or not all the people are get used to understand music as a point in which your life can change. But let me just tell this for you. Once I get guitar, once I just go with the musician aspect in my life as a musician, I see how things can go and be very different. And that's nice because at the end of the point, a lot of point of view, they're going to change. And you as a musician, you are going to see life in a different way. Let's think about it. When someone is trying to learn music, or when someone is trying to be a musician, that person must understand a lot of things in their brain. It is not something that just happened one moment to other. Yes, it is something that we need to get focused in order to improve that skill. But inside us, in our brain, there are happening a lot of things, especially in the way in which the information is going to go through. Different kind of scientists says that we have two parts in our brain, the left part and the right part. But the important thing right here with music is that music is able to connect both parts. And that's great, because you are able to play music, but you are able to understand another aspects in knowledgement, as maths, as science, as speaking. Because taking into account the video that we saw at the first part of this talk, music is a language too. But it's a language that we need to understand how to speak. And just remember, language works better when we have something interesting to say. So, at this point, I just wondering, how can we understand music as a method in order to move forward and understand what others are trying to say? So, taking into account that, the point and the key idea for this is that we're going to see some specific music representations from Colombia in order to understand just a little bit more than the music is the message or what our communities are trying to say. So, let's see.
Dale, mi hermano, un pedacito de la historia negra, de la historia nuestra, caballero. ¿Qué dices?
Las calles de Cartagena, aquella historia vivió. No le pegue la negra, no le pegue la negra. Oye, esa negra se me respeta. No le pegue la negra, no le pegue a la jeva. No le pegue la negra. Si huele a caña, tabaco y brea, usted está en Cali. Ay, mire, vea, mi Cali se está adornando para su fiesta más popular. Con caña dulce, el melao, hierve la baila tamane. ¿Cómo te quiero, Colombia? Saludos desde Colombia a todo el mundo, con esta canción que nace del corazón. Perdonen si con mi canto les interrumpo, les pido 3 minutitos de su atención. Les quiero contar del valle y de la montaña, de cómo se ve la siembra color marrón, de cómo huele mi tierra cuando la baña goticas de agüita fresca que manda Dios. Mi tierra santa me dijo que les hiciera la invitación a la parranda. y para que cantemos juntos con mi acordeón. Por el carnaval que hay en Barranquilla,
El Monserrate de Bogotá,
por esas bonitas ferias de Cali,
Festival Vallenato en Valledupar,
por las bellas playas de Cartagena,
Santa Marta y Fiestas del Mar,
por el aguardiente y las cosas
Café
buenas,
de Colombia ven a tomar.
por la feria.
Those are some of the Colombian rhythms, the Colombian sounds and the Colombian lyrics. And the point right here is to see that behind all those kind of things, we have gastronomy, culture, people, traditions, and places. Even though the musician, when the musician is trying to play music, there is something that happened inside our body and inside our mind. And the invitation for you is to try to do it. Is try to do it because, and especially with the Colombian music, because you're going to feel a country in each note that you will play. And that's awesome. Actually, the point is to see how music is a language, but especially how can that language go into our body and our feelings and go outside. Because people dance when they hear music. People smile when they hear music. People work in a better way when they hear music. And that's the message for today. Don't get used to listen music and just forget what it feels to feel the music inside you. And this is a message for all the people in Colombia too. There are a lot of things, there are a lot of ways in which we can show what we're going to do, or about we are made for. Especially nowadays, we need to be so smart in the way in which we are going to show to the world what we want to do. So, let's put all our efforts in music, in culture, in art, in order to show to the world that we're more than a lot of things that says that Colombia is not the best country, but we are, and we have a lot of things to show to the world. Right here we got the tools, we have the ways, we have the people. We're one of the most cultural places around the world. So, let's do it. Let's see music as a language. But, what is the message that we want to say? Let's think about it and let's create a powerful message in order to show to the government, show to the world, show everyone that Colombia is a beautiful country, and the fight that we're having in this moment is the most important one, because we're trying to move forward as a country. But let's do it with music.